In this episode, it's a new season, we got a new name, and we're going to talk about the kids' movies that scared the crap out of us.
And you just can't shake that feeling.
You're scarred for life, so stick around! Hello and welcome to Days of Dorker Past. My name's Rob.
And I'm Chris.
And we got a new name, but it's the same great show.
Yep.
Now, the reason for the name change, for the longest time the working title of the show has been My Side Laundry Room Live. And we're not live. We're alive.
But we're not live.
Yeah. But we just thought a new name, fresh aspect on things.
But that's not saying that My Side Laundry Room is going anywhere. There will be episodes with the My Side Laundry Room moniker. We're just going to try to do something a little different from time to time with this retrospect. And
we're hoping to do some live streaming episodes, and that's where you'll see the live name come back.
We need a camera.
Yeah, we have a camera.
Well, for the live stream. We need one of those. You know, nicer. Anyway, that's another story. Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Tonight's topic.
Yes.
Now, Rob and I are 80s kids.
Yes.
Which means we suffered through the very beginning of the VHS onslaught.
Yes. We saw the rise and the fall of the rental store.
Correct, correct. And especially when we were kids, you know, you went to the mom and pop, or if you were lucky enough to have an Errol's or a Hollywood or a Blockbuster. But for us in our area, the mom and pop ruled.
Oh, yeah.
For the first.
We didn't even get a Blockbuster until the 90s.
Yeah, we didn't get an Errol's until the late 80s.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it was dig through. Any animated movie will do. And you think, well, what's the harm in that? And parents thought the same thing. But there was a lot of screwed up horror subject matter, 80s cartoons, and we're going to cover some of those tonight, but there's other ones that we're not going to mention tonight. You know what I mean?
Not tonight, but we will in the near future, definitely.
We will. And this is definitely more your wheelhouse, so by all means.
The first movie on my list is from 1977, so it hit the video stores when they started to rise. Mm-hmm. And it was Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. So what's the harm in a couple dolls playing around? Well, first off, maybe it's a general theme for me personally, but toy movies really got me for some reason. In this, Raggedy Ann and Andy were a staple. But they introduced characters I'd never heard of, which was a little unnerving. But it was a musical very much in the 70s Broadway terms. So there was a lot of melancholy, a lot of... I can't even put a finger to how I felt. But the thing that scared the crap out of me the most was something called the Greedy. They go into a taffy candy ocean, and this huge living being is swallowing them up, but they're laughing, enjoying things, but they could drown at any moment. And for some reason, that is what left me after I saw that film. I can remember being in a daze after seeing it. And also, they introduced Babette, which was this French farm girl type of character, and for some reason something about her just didn't sit right with me. Now, I'm sure it's a classic in some people's homes. I'm sure
all of these are classics in some people's homes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it was just, it's hard to relay the feelings we felt. But that greedy taffy monster thing
stuck with you.
That's the thing of nightmares. Because what kid wants to drown?
Yeah, especially in taffy. Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So, it's something about 70s movies, and there's a few that will pop up on our list.
Yes, absolutely.
But a 70s movie hitting the video store in the early 80s, it was brand new to us. Granted, they were during our lifetime,
That's
but
true.
I never saw these in the theater or anything.
No, I agree. 100%. As a matter of fact, with the exception of maybe one of these, at least on my list, yeah, it's only one that I ever saw in the theater. Well, my number one is one that I know for a fact I saw on VHS. I remember renting it on VHS, and it never sat with me from the very beginning of it correctly. I didn't. You know, the big trend of that late 70s, early 80s was rotoscoping and using the solid painted backgrounds and multiple frame animation. You know, so Watership Down, which the book in and of itself is very heady. Okay,
Yes.
and of course the book has a lot more characters in it. It's like 15, 16
Excuse me.
some rabbits in the book. For the sake of the movie, they streamed it down to 8.
Okay.
Okay. And it's really the story and the trials and tribulations of this group of rabbits. And where they live on this farm in, like, I believe it's southern England. It's what the concept was.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there were some scenes in that where your hero, okay, gets it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that is not, you know, whatever age I was, 5 or 6, that is not a concept we're used to, right? The hero rides off into the sunset. The hero wins the day, whatever it is, you know? And I just remember, like, looking at the TV like, what the... I mean, obviously I didn't say what the fuck, but, you know, like, what are you kidding me? I mean, it was just... And it sticks with you, you know, all through, because then it was like, well, the good guy doesn't win. You know what I mean? And it's a concept that was I thought very difficult to
The movie
grasp.
had bloodshed.
Yes, it
That
did.
one dude with, like, the milky eye.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, the visuals in the movie in and of
And,
itself
like,
were just
nipping
very
the ears and stuff.
It is one of those films that doesn't sit right. I'm not sure. I tell you with a clear conscience, I was probably 7, 6 when I watched this. My kids have never seen this.
My kids will never see it as well.
My kids are 16 and 18 ain't seen it. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where I wasn't prepared for it. And, you know, here's the thing, too. With a lot of these movies, we were sat in front of the TV.
Yes.
And our parents did whatever. Cleaned the house, made dinner, whatever it was. So it's not like they knew. They weren't watching it with us, at least. That's my recollection.
No.
Because my mother probably would have turned this off.
I agree with that. I
You know what I
definitely
mean?
agree with that.
So I just, yeah, if
And
you want to
speaking-
have emotional
yeah.
scarring and damage, let your kids watch Watership Down. The 1978 version, I believe, is the one you're looking for.
And speaking of a heroic ending, I mean, the hero dies at the end and is ushered off into the afterlife by a black bunny that he's frolicking after. I mean, when you're that young, you
Doesn't
don't want
this
to be
sound like a kid's movie?
Yeah, you don't want to have to face morality or just violence. I mean,
In general, yes, I'm with
especially
you.
with cute and fuzzy rabbits.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The subject matter totally throws you for a loop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Your next one.
My next one is probably one that not a lot of people have heard of, but it's The Extraordinary Adventures of Mouse and His Child.
Yeah, you got me on this one.
Apparently it's based on a book. I don't really have any knowledge of that. But this was a movie that, again, is about toys. It's a father and son wind-up toy that are joined at the hands.
Okay.
And throughout the entire adventure, they get screwed over because they're
They're
attached
joined at the hands. Right,
to
I
each
got you.
other.
Wow.
And I'm not sure, because I'm speaking of this as a child watching it, I've not, well,
Right.
I'll get into that. But there's something to do with, they have a gold medal, and there's a rat king that wants it. And the rat is the leader of his group, and is
Okay.
proud because he has the longest and shiniest, sharpest teeth. And I think Peter Houston did his voice. So it did have a pedigree of real actors
with
in
it.
it. And, I mean, he was a great voice actor. And a great actor in general.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
During the 70s and 80s when we were...
Now, was this an animated film?
It was an
Wow.
animated
Okay.
film. But the thing that gets me, two things. Firstly, they get destroyed and put back together again, separated. Joyous but sad because they don't know how to act. Because they've been joined together their entire animated toy life.
Right.
And for some reason, a little bit of, I'll put my macho to the side here. When the Rat King falls at the end, which is prophesized by like this frog dude that's like a seer. When he does fall, he breaks his teeth. And he's in a mass, and the father mouse comes up to him and he's recoiling, and the father mouse gives him the gold medal. Like, here. I fucking break down. I start crying as a kid.
And what is this train wreck of a film called?
The Extraordinary Adventures of Mouse and His Child. But here's the thing. Not that long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I caught it on cable. God damn it, I cried at the exact same moment as an adult man. Because when you go throughout this entire adventure to what a prick this rat is, that the father is this selfless giving guy.
I got you.
It did something to me. I mean, even talking about it, I'm like, ooh, goosebumps. Thing is, I can't comment on anything else of the movie. I don't remember it, but that scene has hangs with me. It's weird. I mean, I'm sure most kids at that time were like, yeah, that mean rat dude got it in the end. But me, I'm just like, that dude's pride gets sucked away. And here's the guy that he's been punishing throughout the whole film that's like, here, bud, you need this more than me. And I just lose it. Anyway, number 2 on your list.
So it's one probably everyone's seen, even, I mean, and it's been told 100 times, and the animated film is a classic. It really is. And growing up, Cartoon Network used to do like a Sunday movie marathon.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And this is where I've seen this many times, but I actually saw this earlier than that. And I actually sat down with my kids and watched it. And my son has no recollection of it whatsoever, but my daughter will tell you that this is a, horrible film.
Scarred her as well.
Now, my wife, she actually loves this. This is one of her favorite stories, okay? She really, I swear to God, she really does. But Charlotte's Web. And here's another thing, is the unknown kid who's probably 7, 8 years old. I'm going to say that's about the time frame that sticks out in my memory.
Yeah.
I watched it, had never read the book. I actually read the book
in high
years
school,
later. Right, years later. And it's actually kind of amazing how faithful the adaptation is.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean, for the animated film. But anyway, Charlotte's Web, the concept of this poor pig who's stuck in a pen, and off into the corner is this spider. And of course they build up a rapport and they become friends. And then one day, the spider isn't there anymore. So what happened to the spider? It dies. And what's left is an egg sac. And of course the egg sac hatches, and I'm done. This is where I'm done. I'm finished. I'm emotionally scarred because he's trying to take care of the spiders as they're leaving. He's, and
they're like, we have to go. Goodbye, Wilbur.
And Wilbur's kind of left holding the bag at the end of this.
One remains, though.
Well, one does.
And that's where your heart breaks.
But again, yeah, you've been trounced through this film, and I don't believe it's that long of a film.
No, it's probably
like 70 minutes. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it is one of the biggest emotional roller coasters of any child movie that ever existed. I can't imagine. Yet again, this is one of those films where, knowing what I know now, I think my daughter was 6 or 7 before I even talked.
It's a vicious cycle.
But I'm saying, I mean, it was like, but I kind of gave her the. She got more of a handle on it than I got.
Okay.
Because I was like, here, watch this. It's animated. And
which is what our parents
did to us, which is not, it wasn't malicious, they just didn't know any better.
You know, one of the things that's unnerving about that movie too is Templeton the Rat.
Yes.
When he's at the fair,
and he has that
it's like a psychedelic
acid trip in the
candy,
middle.
apples, popcorn. You know, it's like, oh my god. That's the thing. I mean, these 70s movies had a 60s sensibility where it came to that.
Well,
it was mind-altering.
Well, like, you know, the 70s still had the psychedelic era because it kind of gave birth to some of the disco aspect.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think the animators drew so much from that Peter Max and, you know,
yeah,
Andy Warhol
yeah.
influence that they had to include it in.
Yes, but
you
it's
know?
a very down-to-earth movie until you get to scenes like that.
Yeah, but how many of these movies that we're talking about have similar scenes like that?
Well,
you know what I mean? It was commonly used, is my point. You know what I mean?
That's one of the things I forgot to mention about the Mouse and His Child movie was this bombastic music score, which is akin to, like, The Hobbit, where all of a sudden it's like, boom, 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 boom,
I got you.
You know, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah, a little much right now, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Funny little birds, they have no wings, you know, like, in-your-face music. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No,
sorry
no,
for
no,
stepping on Charlotte's Web there.
You didn't step on anything. You just helped me get over the emotional scar that's still there from Charlotte's Web. Your third or second movie,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now into something scary.
Wow.
Something wicked this way comes.
Now, I'll be honest. You were the first one to ever show me this because I didn't even know it existed. This is one of those ones that was never in my wheelhouse. I saw this when I was in my 20s with you. You know what I mean?
This, I mean, I think it's based on the Ray Bradbury story.
Yes.
Loosely from what I've read because he wasn't very happy. But Disney at that time was trying to shake things up with their live action wing, which was starting to really falter.
Well, this was the dark days of Disney.
Yes, this is the black hole era.
Right.
And my parents just saw Disney. Which we'll probably hear that again because Disney, hey, that means it's family friendly. It's a very dark movie. Jonathan Pryce, who's very famous now, this might have been one of his first American movies, pretty much plays the devil.
Yeah.
That rides into town with his circus. And two boys discover that something's not right. So he kind of hunts them down through the town. And that lovable guy, Jason Robards, which has been in a crazy amount of messed up movies in the 70s.
Yeah, that's true.
And 80s, plays an older father that has heart problems.
Okay.
He wasn't able to go to the war. This takes place after World War II.
Okay.
I believe in the 50s in this small town. So one of the things that's scary, on top of a lot, was when the father comes to save the boys, which as a child, you look to your father as that protector.
Yes, exactly.
He just like does this, boom, 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 and a heartbeat takes over the score as he starts having a heart attack and can't save his son. That's scary. That's stuff that seeps its way into your nightmares because I'm sure everybody, when they're younger, puts their father up on a pedestal and he'll save me when
he's going to pull my fat out of the fire.
When shit goes south. But boom, nope. I put you in your place, old man. You're going to die. So you have that. You have these freak show characters. You have just scary imagery where
even now, to this day, I mean, even the DVD copy has a scary imagery on the cover.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There is nothing about that thing that says this is a Disney film. No, there isn't.
And back then, it wasn't played up for the horror, even though that's what it was. Because there's a part where he's like, have you seen this boy? And it's tattooed on his hand. Have you seen this boy? And the whole time, they're hiding under a grate below him. And when he does this to his hands, blood starts dripping out. It's landing on the one boy's face right below. And I think there's a part where the one boy sees the other one decapitated in a... I mean, it's just full of scary imagery. And it's a Disney movie aimed at kids. So yeah. But yes, I've grown to like it. Almost, I guess, confronting it at an older age.
Well, like I said, I remember watching it with you.
Oh, yeah,
And I
it would
must
be
have
like
asked you like
Friday
4
nights,
times
yeah.
or whatever. This was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that doesn't fit in that Disney mold, that Disney genre. There's nothing about it, which we'll get to the other one that is also
Yes.
that. But it's well, anyway, let's get to it. It's Watcher in the Woods. And this is actually, Rob and I have an open discussion about this because we feel that some of these films were probably made never with the Disney moniker.
Correct.
So I believe that some of this was actually more or less distributed by Disney. I don't necessarily think they were Disney films, like there was somebody in a script, or,
Right.
you know, this
Like
is,
one of the
you know,
famous would be Dragon's Lair.
absolutely,
The Dragon's
absolutely.
Lair, sorry.
Yep.
No, I'm
Dragon's
wrong
Lair.
again. Yeah, okay. But yes, go ahead.
Watcher in the Woods came actually, this is a weird thing. So it came out in 1980, okay? And it wasn't received very well. And it was reshot and redistributed a year later.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So the thing about it is I'm going to say one name. And anytime she's in any fucking thing, it's the creepiest shit you've ever seen. Like, you know. But it's got Bette Davis in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it is, some of the scenes in the film I vividly remember, and there's not like one specific, because I was a kid, I mean probably 5, 6 years old, but I remember her looks, and it's just staying with me. Like I think I actually turned this off. And I'm not sure to this day that I've ever seen the true ending of this film.
I
that
almost
makes any
have
sense.
to agree with you.
Because I can remember, you know, because the basic premise is an American girl moves into a British mansion.
Yes.
Okay? And basically this family is then tortured, for lack of a better term, by a ghost, a poltergeist, who was the owner's, like, wife. Or
Missing daughter.
Missing daughter, that's exactly. And it's just, but anything somebody of that caliber of Bette Davis, and this is actually a testament how great of an actress she was, you know, Rosemary's Baby, you know, just so many, or no, What Happened to Baby Jane?
Yes.
Sorry. She has a very haunting presence, and it actually got worse as she got older. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
More stern appearance.
Yes, much more stern appearance. But to this day, I know the basic premise of that film. I can just know that Bette Davis scared the shit out of me as a kid. If
I
that
mean,
makes
one
any
of the
sense.
things, a scary foil throughout the whole movie, but by the end you realize she's a good guy. When things start, the layers start unpeeling in the film.
But I'm telling you, you tell me how that movie ends, I don't know. Because I can remember, like, honestly, like, fuck this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, you know, I did not like it. I remember that.
I remember it scared the crap out of me because growing up in the woods,
Ooh.
you had woods close to your home.
Ooh, that might have been
And
part
it
of the
was
issue,
the
too.
voices and the lights and the, you know, that I remember after watching it, looking out on my bedroom window, like, did I just see a light? What's going on? But to sum it up, at least my memory, it's a PG rated version
No, it's
of
PG.
The Shining for kids. Because it has a lot of mind games of mirrors and backward words and someone communicating
like
from
the
the other
dog's
side.
name is backwards for Karen or something
which
like that,
was
or
the
whatever.
missing daughter's
Yeah,
name.
it was,
Yes, but reading
was a mind
about
game.
it recently, the ending sounds batshit crazy, and I have no recollection.
Well, there was
of
two
it.
endings.
Well, yes,
Because the
yes.
original ending was changed to the 81 ending. So which one we saw, I'm going to assume is the 81 ending.
Probably.
You know, it's like the mythical octopus and Goonies. You know what I mean? Just saying, you know.
Yeah.
So.
But we did also, and I don't think this happens a lot nowadays, when stuff would air on TV, it would almost be a different cut than what you would see in the movies or on the VCR.
You're right about that.
tapes.
You are right about that. You are
Like,
right
I
about
remember-
that. They were edited, you know, for commercials, obviously, but you would get parts of the movie were removed for whatever reason to condense in time. And, you know, I remember a great example of that is the first Conan film.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I saw that movie 1,000 times on TV. And I remember actually being in the mood to rent Conan, you know? And getting home and watching, like, what the hell is this? I don't remember that. What part, when did that happen? You know, that was you know, this was one of those formats. It was so edited, it was so condensed, whatever it was, to fit in that time frame. You know what I mean? Obviously, nudity and language and whatever else were edited out.
And blood.
But blood.
Glorious blood.
But that was the thing. You didn't realize so many of those movies from the 80s that we saw on TV because of the UHF revolution, you know what I mean? We never really saw. And it was almost like my goal as I got older. It's like, I've never saw that on VHS.
One of the ones that stands out the most to me, and I still haven't seen it in this cut before, was Blazing Saddles, which I'm sure was cut the heck on TV. But there was an extended Mongo versus Black Bart scene that I remember seeing on TV that I've never seen anywhere else.
We have a friend that swears he saw the Goonies octopus. Swears. I mean, he's not,
Well,
you know.
I remember seeing one of the fan magazines of Goonies, the Source magazines, and they had
The
a
film,
whole spread
right,
on the
right.
octopus. I do remember that. But
So,
anyway.
You're...
Number 4 on my list is Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird. Now, this came out in 1985, and I remember wanting to see it. I grew up not seeing Sesame Street. We didn't get a great reception for the PBS channel.
Right.
You know, when you
Same
had to
here.
move the antenna
Same
and
here,
all that
right.
good stuff.
Tinfoil on the right hand and whatever else. Yeah, I know
But
exactly what
I remember as a kid, I got a tape really early in the tape revolution of Big Bird Does Classical Music. And he would narrate, and then it would play the piece. And so I always liked him, and there used to be a toy where you put a tape in his back and he'd talk.
Yes!
Before Teddy Ruxpin came around.
Yes.
Anyway, I liked Big Bird, so I wanted to see this movie. Didn't see it. Then it was on an afternoon one day. It was one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen, because it starts off with a social worker played by Sally Kellerman
Okay.
of MASH movie fame,
Yep.
coming in and going, "You're a bird. You shouldn't be living with these people." And they force him to move to the middle of Illinois with a dodo family.
Yeah.
And it was cute because it was a house on a pole with a big nest. I remember that being kind of cute. But him not fitting in there, I mean, that's always hard for a kid to have that feeling. So you're feeling like a depression, like, poor guy. But then it's, you know, I'm tired of this crap and I'm going back to Sesame Street. And it's just this melancholy, you could probably insert the Hawk music of him walking down the road. And I just left. I mean, of course it ends happy, ends up back at Sesame Street, but he has ghostly visions of his friend, like, "We miss you, Big Bird," you know, like coming out of the cornfield, where it's like, whoa, that's a little weird.
So I remember, like, having to be... We went and saw that in theaters, okay?
Really?
As a kid, okay?
Wow.
And I have... So there was that Big Bird movie, and then there was another one where he was at the Great Wall of China.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I have merged those in my memory, okay?
Okay.
So until you and I were talking, I remember my cousin, who was actually 4 years younger than I was, wanting to see this film. So I was portraying the cool cousin.
I'll take you there, little guy.
To take that, you know what I mean? To,
Yeah.
To take my, you know, to see the movie, and I remember not being necessarily into it.
Okay.
And I remember, like, kind of halfway through, like, this is depressing. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a Sesame Street episode. So, like, I think parents with some of that stuff that aired Monday through Friday, you know, we talk about it with Transformers the movie, right?
Yes.
It wasn't that half-hour commercial. This was a story, this was plot, this was, you know, it wasn't just a half-hour elongated into a 90-minute film.
Yes, it wasn't breaking into a B, ball.
Right.
Those songs, you know.
You know, it wasn't the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, none of that. This was a story about a bird trying to get back home, essentially, in a nutshell.
That was forced to abandon his adopted family, if you will, of the Denzines
And
of
I
Sesame
just
Street.
remember being, like, semi-heavy,
Yeah.
you know, on my shoulders, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure to this day that my cousin got all of it, because if I'm 9 or whatever it was, you know, he would have been 5.
Right.
So I'm not sure if he saw,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean, how much he absorbed of that story. But I do recall that. I do recall that. But, yeah, yet again, you know, take your kids to see it. It's great.
Yeah.
Here's one that's going to be kind of off the beaten path.
Okay.
But I was a huge fan of the Muppet Show.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know you were too. And I remember I did not see the Muppet movie in theaters. It was not even in my memory. You know what I mean? I only remember the clamshell. You know, the old clamshell Muppet movie. But this was a freaky kind of concept because I had watched the Muppet Show, so in my head, everyone was already together.
Yes.
Okay? So the Muppet movie goes into almost like them all meeting.
Like
you know
an origin story.
Like an origin story, but I wasn't prepared for that. I was just a child.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't ready to comprehend the fact that they weren't all friends. That didn't make sense. So that alone kind of left me on edge. Okay? But then there's a concept halfway through the film where people are hunting Kermit because they want his massive frog legs to eat.
The frog leg king of whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But this was like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, the Muppets are great, and I absolutely love the Muppet Caper. I think it's one of the best of the Muppet films, okay? And always there's great talent, you know, the top actors of the day, you know, Richard Pryor's in it, you know, but there's this great Wild West scene in it, you know what I mean? But I remember, honestly, being creeped out because
our heroes being hunted down for
food. And it was like, I know, you know, maybe not now, the kids aren't, you know, but let me ask you this. You had 2 small kids. Would you let them watch the Muppet movie?
I have it upstairs, and we have yet to watch it.
Okay, that's fair.
We've watched the newer one.
Okay,
with,
well,
you know, Jason Segel
right.
and all, and I don't think we've seen the sequel to that.
No.
You know another unnerving thing about that film? We were used to seeing the Muppets in their theater. Now they're out in the real world. And the movie starts off with the Rainbow Connection. So,
right, yeah.
punch in the gut right out the gate.
But I had a real time struggling with that film as a kid because, like I said, in my head, my world, whatever you want to call it, they're already friends. And they belong in the theater. Why are they out? You know, and of course there's some great lines in it, you know, like the Fozzie the Bear, you know, a bear in his natural habitat, Miss Studebaker. You know, there's some famous lines and some great stuff in it. But there is definitely a creepy side to that movie. And I don't know any... So much so that I'm 42 and we're talking about it tonight, you know?
You know what? Muppet Caper also creeped me out. And that's one of those movies where the Muppets are portraying... like they're actors in a film because they don't know each other again. And Charles Grodin's in it, you know, real kid-friendly Charles Grodin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not that he was a bad actor or did bad work, but it's just, he wasn't in any movies we've watched at that time.
No. Well, that's any of those guys.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, Richard Pryor kind of knew because having younger parents, it's like, hey, we're going to listen to this album. You got to leave the room.
That's fair.
You know?
That's fair. But I mean, Steve Martin would have been the most recognizable character to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In those.
And he was on the Muppet Show.
Yeah, right. That's why he would have been the most recognizable to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But your last one of this semi-disturbing list.
Now this one, okay, it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, just a little background. My first exposure to Pee Wee Herman was
That's a creepy fucking movie.
A stand-up special that he did on HBO. And in that, it was very reminiscent, even though more adult, to Pee Wee's Playhouse. There were puppets, Miss Yvonne was in it.
Yep.
But adult humor mixed with this man-child sensibility. If that makes sense. Like with the shining his shoes so he could see up girls' skirts and stuff like that. Anyway, so Pee-wee's Big Adventure comes out. I kind of know who the cat is, and it is kind of unnerving. To a degree, you have to be in a different mindset to watch it.
There's one scene, though.
But it's one scene that scared the crap out of me, and that's Large Marge.
Thank you.
And that...
Well, there's actually 2.
The clowns.
The clowns.
Yes.
Fuck a clown.
The clown.
Fuck a clown.
And it's the music, and I mean, Tim Burton really came out of the gate swinging in that film. I mean, he made his mark, and there were a lot, like with the claymation. We saw that again in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
You know, with the Large Marge face. Wah, you know, he used that again. You know, in many movies.
that is an endearing movie to me.
It is.
Is one of those films that I enjoy watching to this day.
Yes, same here.
But at the time, I do remember being like,
I remember seeing it for the first time, being scared. My mom rented it again when I was having a sleepover with just some random kids that their parents needed to go out and drink that night, whatever.
fair.
And I remember when we rented it, I like had to enarmor myself. I watched that scene over and over and over and over again, so I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't jump. I wouldn't. You know?
You had to prep yourself because you didn't
Yes.
want to look not
But
cool.
the movie in general is awesome. It's just that scene.
Is one of those ones. That,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now it's almost funny.
Well, it
thinking
is. It's
about
freaking
it,
hysterical. But I
well,
mean,
just being afraid of that's actually funny when you think about it now.
you know what? When we're older, now that we're older, when you watch it, did you ever realize how many Saturday Night Live characters were in it?
Oh yeah.
I didn't at the time. You know that we were watching it when we were kids. How many people? You know what I mean? How many,
They all came up with him in the stand-up
right,
world.
right. That's the thing you didn't know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? How much? Anyway, I always thought that was interesting. But
Yes.
there are two creepy parts of the movie. My last one is one of my actual favorite movies, but I was not prepared for the end again. Okay, it's the first time I remember seeing blood in an animated film, and this is one of the great. Honestly, it's one of the great stories in animated features. It's not a Disney film. I think it's a Don Bluth.
It is Don
Yeah.
Bluth.
Secret of Nim
Oh.
is one of the best. Honestly, it is one of the best stories. One of the best animated features. The animation is great. It's not all rotoscoped to hell, although there is rotoscoping in it.
It has cool effects.
It has
like
great
the
effects.
the lighting effects and dual layering of cells and
But the
stuff.
villain in it is the worst. He is the worst. And your heroine is... What I like about it, it's very disarming. Because I don't ever feel like she fully understands
No.
the scope of what she's
thrust
involved.
into this world.
Correct. And I think that's what makes it so. But the end of that, or whatever it is, the 15 minutes left in the film, where the villain basically gets
He gets run through. It's
yeah.
not the Disney I'm falling from a high
No.
level. It was the dude got ran through when he's got blood on him.
And he's holding himself, and it was kind of like, and I wasn't prepared for it, but it fit.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. The whole film, it all fit. It wasn't like that was an over-the-top scene. It's just I wasn't prepared for
The whole movie is very dark.
it. Extremely dark.
Miss Frisbee's husband is dead when it starts.
Yep.
And then it peels
Which is
away to
kind
what
of
happens.
it kind of in a way kind of sets that tone.
Yes.
That this isn't just a typical animated film. But I can tell you, it is one of the few on this list that we've talked about tonight that I've actually seen repeatedly, if that
Yes.
makes any sense.
Yes, I'll go back and rewatch this movie now.
Yeah, exactly. Where a lot of these were like, okay, it was great, and I want that nostalgia trip, so I'll go watch The Muppets, or I'll go watch, Watership Down, or whatever. Or a lot of times I catch them on TV, and I'll finish watching. Very rarely do I get to, But Secret of Nim is one, so if you haven't seen it, this is one of those ones where, yes, this is a fucked up list we did tonight, but this is a great movie.
That is a shining example of
What storytelling with animation could be.
Yes, definitely. And the unnerving parts fit. And yes, you were a little bit too young. There's a
I
part...
wasn't prepared for it.
There's a lot of tension in the movie as well.
Yes,
like
there is.
where she has to poison the cat to sleep, so because the cat patrols the yard, so that the rats can go about their business, and she gets caught. So she's in a cage.
Yep.
And she's trying to undo the latch, and she slices her
arm. The whole. It's based off of a book.
Yes.
Which I've never read the book. I don't know if you
I've never read it, but it was always in our library growing up.
Okay.
My mom always had it there, but I never...
Yeah,
I didn't feel the need because the movie was so grand.
And I think... So if you look at these timelines when we're talking about it, I don't feel that that's the way anymore.
No.
Okay? And I feel like there was this weird kind of thing happening in that late 70s, early 80s with animation, like they didn't know fully what direction they should step in. So it's like they dipped their toe at Secret of Nim. They dipped their toe in at Wizards. They dipped their toe in, you know, all these different movies, but they never went full on. Does that make sense? It's like, you know, you never...
There were two types of cartoons. The counterculture,
Yes.
which is Bashy, and the family movie. And you had movies that crossed over, like Secret of Nim, I would say ran right down the middle because you told a very adult story to children.
Yeah, but even Watership Down.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even, which we didn't talk about it, but we talked about it off camera, the movie Plague Dogs.
Yes.
Okay? You know, there was all this weird, you know what I mean? Like, like we almost want to be adult, but we just didn't. You know what I mean?
And it was almost like, I think today we can be more upfront, but back then these are all based on novels, that they hid social messages inside.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Watership Down, the author, which I can't remember, he wrote a book called Duncan Wood that was about moles.
Richard Adams.
Yes.
Yes.
But was about moles and almost a social climate.
Well,
but I mean,
yeah, I understand. But I mean,
which is counterculture if you think about it.
Sure, same thing Orwell did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I just think it's I don't know. I don't know if there will be another time like that with that weird, you know, because you had Rankin and Bass's Hobbit. You had Rankin and Bass's Lord of the Rings. You had Bashy stuff that was coming out fairly frequently at that point. But you had those movies like Nim, like Plague Dogs, like Watership Down, where you had the counterculture, but it still was PG, or it was G. You know what I mean? And it was just, I don't know if you'll see...
Yeah. I think the first time we saw an animated movie that was like, they were out there, but I'm saying aimed right at us, but this is for adults, was Akira.
I think it got more mainstay
Yes.
recognition.
I mean, because we had Fritz the Cat.
Which we didn't see. I mean, but anybody with any kind of knowledge knew that that was not a kid's film.
Just all
you
the
know?
Bashy movies. What is it? American...
Pop.
No, not even that. The one that had Brother Bear, Brother Rabbit. It was a retelling of the Brer Rabbit story.
Oh, Song of the South.
No. It was a Bashy movie.
Oh.
And they were like gangsters. It was...
Oh, God.
And the police was the fox. You know, where it was a telling of that story, but in a contemporary 70s New York.
I know what you're talking about.
And with Bashy, it had a lot of filmed backgrounds with animated characters.
Well, that was Bashy's
Yes.
trademark. I mean, that was...
And you had, I can't think of his name. The singer with the deep voice. Whatever.
Anyway, okay.
He did the voice of Brother Bear. Like, it had famous African-American actors
portraying those.
Right,
I got you.
Scatman Crothers. You know, like...
Okay.
And it was revolutionary. And that's a movie we'll get into on another list where it's like, my parents just saw animated and let's bring this home.
Right.
And it's a movie about heroin, cocaine, shootings, knifings, you know, racial injustice. And, I mean, it's something that shaped me, but
all
I
of those
saw it way
Bashy
too young.
films
were,
as far as I'm concerned, far ahead of their time for the time that they
he
put
was
out.
a genius.
Yeah, he was. I agree. 100%.
He still is a genius.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't do anything anymore, unfortunately.
Because unfortunately, the world has passed his method
Style
of storytelling by.
Yes, I agree.
But anyway, thank you for watching. Please
Always.
leave some comments to what movies really screwed you up that you're still scarred to this day over. If you like what we're talking about, hit the subscribe button because we'll be coming at you every week, a couple times a week with some different shows. And welcome to Season 3.
Yeah.
My name's Rob.
And I'm Chris.
Keep being rad.
Stay dorky.
And we'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching this episode presented by My Side of the Laundry Room. Please check out some of these other recommended videos, and if you enjoyed what you've watched, please hit the subscribe button. You can also follow on Twitter, like on Facebook, and read up on My Side of the Laundry Room at our blog. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep being rad and stay dorky.